Hello, this is Yakov Fain with the tutorial TypeScript Quickly. Today's lesson is number 2, where we actually will start programming in TypeScript. On this screen you see a really simple piece of code in JavaScript. 2 lines. In the first line we assign the string to a variable customer ID, and just because we put this value in double quotes, JavaScript engine would know that it's a string. But on the next line we assign a number to the same variable. JavaScript is very forgiving. As a matter of fact, it's a dynamic language. It's not forgiving, it's dynamic. So it said, alright, so from now on customer ID has a type number. It's valid, legal and correct in JavaScript. This is not the case in TypeScript though. In TypeScript, if you will do the same thing, it would give you an error on the second line saying what? Look at the first line. In the first line I just declare a variable, and after the colon I put the word string. I could have assigned a value same way as above, but it knows that the variable will hold strings. And the next line, when I say customer ID is equal 1, 2, 3, it says, what are you doing? You said it's a string, then it's a string. You can't change the type after you assign it. We'll try this out. We'll try it out in the REPL. TypeScriptLang.org has a special area called Playground. In the Playground you can try different fragments in TypeScript, and they will be immediately recompiled into JavaScript or compiled into JavaScript. You'll see how it works. But meanwhile, let me tell you about the code samples. First of all, this book, TypeScript Quickly, has the repository. You see it over here. All the code samples are here. Actually, this is wrong. Not all. Many or most, and definitely all the code samples from part 2 are here. The part 1, though, it contains many simple code fragments, and in the book I typically use a link to a playground which illustrates this piece of code. So if you don't see something over here, you can find it definitely in the book and the link. So I will be using the playground widely. So playground looks like this. See, in TypeScriptLang.org it has an area playground. By the way, documentation is there if you want. Installing TypeScript will install TypeScript from different places though, but playground is there. So as you can see, the screen is split into 2 parts. On the left you will see it's an area where you can type TypeScript pieces of code. On the right you will see the resulting transpiled or compiled JavaScript. So let customer ID see, it keeps generating code on the right, of type string. Actually, let's try it the same. No, I'll do string, and let's assign a value to it. A, B, C, D, for example. Right? Now in the next line, let's try to say assign a number to it. By the way, take a look. As I type, I get IntelliSense. I get type ahead help. It tells me what I can do, what options do I have based on what I already typed. Customer ID is equal 1, 2, 3. Wow, look at this red squiggly line. I move the mouse pointer over it and it tells me what did I do wrong. Behind the scenes, this TypeScript language service is always monitoring, so I don't even need to run a compiler to see the errors. Compile time errors, not runtime. In IDEs that support TypeScript, they use the same exact TypeScript language service, so the prompts will be the same basically. It tells me cannot find the name customer ID. Did you mean customer ID in double quotes? Oh, I made another mistake basically. I made another mistake. See, I made 2 mistakes. I wanted to illustrate one, but it's like buy 1 mistake, get 1 free. So it tells me that it cannot find this variable because I never declared it, right, with a small d. I declared it with capital D. Let me fix the first error. The second still remains. See, it helps me. It knows. Actually, I'm sure it would. It was trying to help me even before, but I ignored it. See, even before it would tell me that there is a customer ID with capital I and D, but I ignored it. I thought I am smarter. No, not at all. All right, so now the variable is spelled properly, but it still shows me this red squiggly line. Let me move the mouse over. Oh, type 123 is not assignable to type string, so it knows that it's a type of this variable is type string. All right, so see, on the right hand side it still generated me the code in JavaScript, even though I could have used the compiler option saying don't even bother generating JavaScript unless there is no errors there. I'll tell you how to do this, but compiler has options. But for now, let's move on. So line number 1. You can say, in JavaScript it was so much easier because I could just declare a variable and assign ABCD to it and it would know that it's a string. Guess what? TypeScript also knows. So, and it's called inferred typing. Let me remove this string. And it works the same way. Moreover, it is recommended to use this shorter syntax. Nobody asks you to do unneeded work. So if it's obvious to TypeScript, to you actually, that you assign a string to a variable, it's going to be obvious to TypeScript as well. It's called inferred types. And TypeScript compiler will infer the type based on the syntax. So see, it doesn't let you change the type after it's assigned. Just a quick reminder, if you are if you're declaring variables as in JavaScript, and by the way, TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, so pretty much it can do almost everything that JavaScript does, plus something else. I say almost everything because it doesn't let you, for example, dynamic types, right? Dynamically assign property to an object and so on. So anyway, in JavaScript there are three keywords that allows you to declare a variable: var, let, and const. I used let. So var is the thing of the past. Nobody is using var these days. But let means I declare a variable and I can change its value later on. Const, again, we talk about JavaScript. Const means that I am planning to assign a value to this variable once, and I will never change it. So recommended way, when you start declaring variables, use const. Later on, if you see that you really need to change its value, then you switch from const to let. But that's beside the point. The error remains the same. I was trying to change the type to the type of the variable. Moreover, since I used const, I have another error. It tells me that I cannot assign to customer ID because it's a constant. You can assign the value to the constant. It is the same in JavaScript and in TypeScript. You can assign it only once. A bit more. Let's talk a bit more. Since we are in this playground, let's spend a couple of more seconds on the playground itself. First of all, you can select a version of the language that you want to try your code on. By default, today's version is of TypeScript compiler is 3.7.2, as you can see. If you wanted to try something older, if you wanted to make sure that your code still compiles in older version of the TypeScript, then you can pick older version over here. I don't need to do this. Next, when the compiler can compile the code to JavaScript, and as I said before, it can compile it down to the older version, so it works in the older browser, for example, or in older JavaScript engine, so to speak. Next, in this config menu, you can select the target. Target. What is target? Target is what is the target version of JavaScript that you want to compile to. Right now it says ECMAScript 2017. But I could have selected ES 2015. Remember this thing? It often is referred to as ES6. Why? Because it used to be ES5, next year ES6, then ES7, and so on. So it's not a mistake. You can use ES 2015 or ES6. So you can say you can specify the target, as I said, right? Now you can specify a whole bunch of different compilers options. Look at these. All these options can be specified in the command line when I will be writing, for example, TSC, which is TypeScript compiler, on the command line. Name of the program that I want to compile, and then I can put a bunch of compilers options. The same options you put over here in the playground. Also, you can run an example if you want to. Let's do this. Let's assign to this the word John, for example, and let's try to print it on the console. Console log. Console misspelled right away. Console logs. What do we want to log in there? Backtick, hello, and the value. I'm using this ECMAScript 6 syntax, right? And the value will be customer ID. See, it helps me. Customer ID. I need to close the curly and then semicolon. So if I want to run this example, if I want to run it, I can click on the button Run. To see that the result, I need to have the console, right? So I can open up the console of the Chrome browser. I use the shortcut, but you can obviously go to Window. No, not to Windows. So where is that thing? View Developer right there, and you can open the console over here. Anyway, I open the console. If I will hit the button Run, it'll execute the code. Which code, by the way? JavaScript. Keep it in mind. You write in TypeScript, it compiles down to JavaScript, and browsers will run JavaScript. Browsers are not planning to learn TypeScript as you and me. They will keep running JavaScript. So this code on the right will be executed. I'll hit the button Run, and then you see at the bottom down there, hello John. So this is what my code produced. So far I was showing you how to use Playground to try different little things. But of course this is not the way people work. People want to have the code, save it in the files, run a compiler from a command line or in some other way, and have the generated files in JavaScript and so on. And how to do something like this we'll learn in the next lesson. But for now, just as a summary, what do we know for now? We know that TypeScript has to compile into TypeScript code has to be compiled into JavaScript. TypeScript forces you to stick to the type if you declare a variable of this type, right? We spoke about const, let, and var keywords. We touched it, obviously. And we learn how to work with Playground, TypeScript Playground. That's enough for lesson number 2. Thank you for watching.